Hi, everyone. My name is Anita Ladhani. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and an energy practitioner. And I want to talk to you about this feeling, these emotions that we're feeling in our response to dealing with COVID-19. I want to specifically talk about the stages of grief. I want to talk about this article that I read that I think is so perfect. So, what is it that we're all feeling right now? We're all upset, we're all emotional, but really what we're feeling is, let's just name it, we're feeling grief. We're feeling grief. And what does that mean? Why is it important to understand this? Because it's important to understand what we're feeling so then we can start to recognize it and start taking steps towards getting healthier, right? So I'm going to refer to this article that was on Facebook that is by hbr.org. I actually printed it out. It's called That Discomfort You're Feeling is Grief. It's I'll post it again after this video. So here's what's going on. Our world, as we know it, has changed completely. Our sense of normalcy has changed. We're in quarantine. If we are going out, we're going out in a very different way. Things that we took for granted are just completely not acceptable. Hugging, kissing, touching, being around our loved ones, just going out to work. Everything's just changed. And so with that also, there's a very real fear and anxiety about the loss of income. How are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to manage? And of course, as human beings, we are designed for connection, for love and connection. And now we're stuck in our homes, and if we're lucky, if we have family, but we want to go out, we want to interact, we want to invite people over. And so what's going on as a world, we are collectively grieving. And there's different types of grief. So, when you hear grief, you think it's usually only when, someone dies, right? But that's not true. There's different types of grief. There's something called anticipatory grief. It comes from the word anticipating. You're anticipating the grief. So that's, in the past, it's typical of, when someone, that loved one is sick, is dying, that your life is going to change because they're not going to be around. You start to anticipate the loss of them being gone, and you start the grieving process. Well, for us, we are going through anticipatory grief as a human nation, a human world, because our world, as we know it, is changed completely. We're never going to go back to the sense of normalcy that was pre-COVID-19. Just like the way we check in and do our security at airports has changed since 9/11. Just like that, the way we live and function is changed because of this. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it has changed. So, usually so the other thing that we need to understand is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What is that? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow was a psychologist, a scientist, and he has this hierarchy of needs. You can Google it. That is a triangle, okay? Oh, it's too bright. Okay, it's a triangle, and basically what the triangle symbolizes is at the bottom level is food, shelter, water, warmth. Okay, so his belief is his theory is, and it's true. I'm 100% agree to it. His theory is that if people at the basic human level, we need to have food, water, shelter, warmth. Once you have that, then you worry about safety and security. Okay, that means you want to feel safe, you want to feel secure. Once you have that, then you start focusing on human connection, and relationships and friendships. Once you have that, then you start focusing on esteem. Who am I? What am I about? Once you have that, then you start focusing on, before that, it's love and belonging, connection, connection with others, self-esteem. And then finally, when you have all those things, when you have, safety, when you have physical safety, you have a roof over your head, you have loving connections, you have safety, you have good self-esteem coming in from whatever it is you're doing, then you have the freedom and the luxury to really ask the important questions of, who am I, what am I here, what am I doing? Well, right now, although we may have some of those other things, our life is challenged, because we may be sitting in a safe, comfortable, secure home. We may have food and water, but we don't have, and we do have loving connections, but we don't have the actual connections right now. And there's a lot of fear about the loss, right? We're all anticipating what's to come. And so how do you deal with that? Well, let's talk about the stages of grief. I think that's important to understand. And let's put that in context for what we're going through now. And you may know someone who's in the various stages. So the first stage, and again, understand the stages of grief was written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and the author of the one who actually was interviewed for this article that I referred to is David Kessler, and he actually co-authored the book on grief and grieving, which is like the book to talk about when it comes to grief, the 5 stages of grief, the 5 stages of loss. And those are, and not necessarily in an order, not necessarily that everybody goes through that, but that's the general framework of what someone who's grieving goes through. The first one is denial. So denial is, this idea that, no, this is not really happening, the virus won't affect the virus won't affect us. I mean, this is just going to go away. Okay, that's denial. Then there's anger. That's the second stage. You're making me stay home and taking away my activities. What do you think you are? And I love it when us Americans, say, oh, we're in America, we can do it. This is not about freedom, but again, this is this anger response, right? The third one is bargaining. Okay, so you mean if I stay home for 2 weeks and I do my part of social distancing and then things will be better, right? Okay, fine, I can do that. That's bargaining. Is, again, all of this is a sense of trying to gain some control over ourselves. The next stage is sadness. I don't know when this will end. I can't believe all these people are dying. This is really bigger than I thought it was. And then there's acceptance. Oh, wow, this is happening. This is real. This is where we are. This is our new norm. And I have to figure out how to proceed. And the sooner we get to acceptance, the sooner we can start to actually take back some control over what is it that we're feeling and responding to. So acceptance is where the power lies. So then we can say, okay, I can wash my hands. I can socially distance myself. I can learn how to work virtually. I can do FaceTime. I can interact with people in a very different way, but I can control that. Now, it's important to understand that. So recognize where you are on that. Now, the other part is that when you're feeling grief, there's also physical pain and the mind racing, okay? Your mind racing is basically anxiety, okay? Now, understand that anxiety is usually future-based. Anxiety is about, worrying about it. Anxiety is either stressing about what happened, replaying what happened, or stressing about what's going to happen, right? The anticipatory. That's anxiety fits right into it. And so how do you balance that? I have a lot of my peers who are light workers and therapists, habit, right? Really trying to spread love of messages of optimism. And I love that. But let's also pause and recognize that this is real. We need to name what is it that we're feeling. And once you recognize and you realize, what? There's no pretending this away. This is not going away. This is here. And we need to, the sooner we can get to acceptance instead of denial, anger, bargaining, sadness, depression, and then acceptance. The sooner you get to acceptance, the sooner you can start to, take steps to handle it. So how do you get to acceptance? How do you respond to the anxiety? The way you respond to the anxiety is by being present. Because what is anxiety about? Anxiety is because you're either in the past or the future. And so the only way to counter that is to be present. How do you be present? The easiest thing to do is focus on your breath. Take a deep breath in, everyone, right now. And again, continue to take deep breaths in. The other thing to do is do something called grounding. These are some tools that we actually teach in therapy. Take grounding. Grounding, there are different ways to ground. One way is simply counting 5 things in the room. Let's see what I have. I have a pen. I have a lamp. I have a water bottle. I have my laptop. I have a piece of paper. Lovely. Then the next thing is feeling the textures of this. Okay, the table is hard. My chair is soft. The pen is hard. You're using your senses. The room is quiet. I can hear the air conditioning, buzzing. Using your senses to bring yourself back into present awareness. So you can also think of, let go of what you can't control. And it's, you can't control what your neighbor is doing or what your friends are doing. You can't force, obviously, as much as we want to. We see people still posting, that they're going out, or they just came back from vacation, or they're doing this. And for weeks, but we can't control any of that, right? We can't control how they're responding to it. What we can control is how we're responding and what we're doing. So yes, we're washing our hands, we're sanitizing, we are keeping our distance, we're wearing our mask when we can, we're being mindful and taking responsibility. And that's what you can control. And one big thing that this is really so the solution is to be mindful. So if you're a meditator, you understand this. Close your eyes, go into prayer, go into mindfulness. Lovely. There's a million apps. There's videos galore. Reach out, find something to get yourself in the present state of mind. Let's see, what else do I want to say about this? The last stage that this author added to it was to find meaning in all of this. So you're going to say, how the hell am I going to find meaning in all of this? Well, there is meaning, actually. My colleagues have beautifully pointed out that, this is allowing us time and opportunity. We didn't ask for it. We certainly didn't want it because we were too busy running our businesses and running our jobs and running our lives. But now we have time to just be present. We have time to spend time with the kids. We have time that we used to spend commuting now that we're home. We need to individually figure out our own new normal, our own new routine right now as to how are we going to, take advantage of the blessing of this. Blessing? What do you mean blessing? This is such a pain and this is such a curse. Well, our perspective is everything, right? And yes, let's understand grief, but we have to be practical and real about where we're going with this. Our lives are going to change. 3.3 million people have applied for, unemployment as of this morning. So yeah, there are some serious, real, decisions, and some decisions are going to be ours. Some are made for us because when you get laid off, that decision is taken from you. When there's only so many jobs and so many more people applying for it, that decision is taken from you. And so what can you do? You can control how you respond to it. You can either respond from a place of, panic, anxiety, or you can just be calm and relaxed and have faith that, you're going to have to redirect. To me, this is an opportunity that life is taking us in another direction. We're kicking and screaming. We're like the little child who doesn't want to go in that direction, but we're going there. And so your response is going to determine your experience of it. And yes, absolutely, freak out. Go through those different, allow yourself. So it's not about, I'm not telling you don't be all into love and light and, everything's holy. No, that's not what I'm saying. We have every right to freak out. So if we're going to freak out, then freak out. One of the things that this article talks about beautifully is that, and I'm going to quote this, one unfortunate byproduct of this self-help movement is we're the first generation to have feelings about our feelings. So we tell ourselves like, I feel sad, but I shouldn't feel sad because other people have it worse. So that's the problem. We have a feeling and judgment about our feelings. Don't. The important thing about feelings is to have those feelings and allow ourselves to feel those feelings, because emotion needs motion. Feelings need to be felt and then they lose control over us. if you don't feel the emotions, that's where they build up and they build up and they build up, and then they explode, and then you've lost control in a sense. The best thing you can do is allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to be angry, allow yourself to feel sad. Whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's 10 minutes, give yourself, okay, right now I'm going to sit with my sadness. I'm going to sit with my anger. I'm going to sit with my, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit with my feeling, afraid or whatever. Allow yourself to feel the feelings and ride it through. And, that way we've taken control. We're not victims. We're not, the feelings are not in control. We are. So, as always, there's a lot of information in this video. I'm going to post this article again on my Facebook. I hope you listen and I hope you watch. And again, change your new normal and reach out. We're here to help. Reach out, and we will get through this. I have complete faith that we will get through this, and life will be different. And some of us life will be very different because we won't have a choice. But I truly, truly believe that when God closes one door, and it's out of our control, we are being redirected. We are being redirected. And isn't it, I just find it fascinating that as a planet, we are just put on pause right now. Pause. You're just on pause because God has decided you're going out of control. We're on pause right now. And that's where we are. So let's take advantage of this pause and do what we need to do to become human beings instead of the human doings that we had become. So, love and light. Take care. God bless. Bye.